I spent 42 years married to a woman I thought I knew, and it took losing everything we'd built together to finally understand who she actually was. My name is Thomas. I'm 69 years old, and I live in a modest ranch house in Dover, Delaware, where the humidity makes everything sticky in summer and the wind off the bay cuts through you in winter. I've lived in this house for 37 years, raised 2 kids here, built a life here. And 3 years ago, my wife of 42 years, Patricia, moved out. We're not divorced. We're still married, technically, which confuses people when I tell them. But we don't live together anymore. And somehow, that arrangement has saved us both. It's taken me these 3 years to understand why. I met Patricia when we were both 24, working at the same insurance company in Wilmington. I was in claims, she was in underwriting. We met at a company picnic, one of those mandatory summer events where everyone stands around eating hot dogs and pretending to enjoy forced socializing. She was sitting alone under a tree, reading a book, and something about that drew me to her, the fact that she'd rather read than make small talk with coworkers. "Good book?" I asked her. She looked up, startled, then smiled. "Better than small talk." I liked her immediately. She was direct, intelligent, a little reserved, but warm once you got past her initial caution. We started dating a few weeks later. She was different from other women I'd known. She didn't play games, didn't need constant attention, seemed content in her own company, in a way I found both attractive and mysterious. We got married a year and a half later. Small wedding, just family and close friends. We bought a starter house in Dover, close to her parents, and settled into married life. I thought I understood what marriage was supposed to be: partnership, companionship, building a life together. And on the surface, that's what we did. We both kept working. Patricia moved to a different insurance company with better benefits. I eventually left claims and started working for the state in the Department of Transportation. Steady work, good pension, the kind of reliable career that lets you build a stable middle-class life. Our daughter, Jennifer, was born when we'd been married 3 years. Our son, Michael, came 2 years after that. Patricia took maternity leave both times, then went back to work part-time, then full-time once the kids were in school. We were busy. Work, kids, house maintenance, all the logistics of family life. We were good at logistics, Patricia and I. We ran our household efficiently, divided responsibilities, kept things moving. But somewhere in all that efficiency, I realize now, we stopped really seeing each other. I thought I was being a good husband. I went to work every day, brought home a steady paycheck, helped with homework, coached Michael's Little League team, took care of home repairs, mowed the lawn. I thought partnership meant dividing tasks and executing them well. Patricia managed the kids' schedules, did most of the cooking, handled the household finances, organized family gatherings. We worked like a well-oiled machine. But a machine is exactly what we were: functional, efficient, and completely lacking in intimacy. I didn't see it at the time, or maybe I didn't want to see it. There were signs looking back. The way Patricia would sometimes go quiet for days, not angry exactly, just distant. The way she'd suggest we go for a walk or sit on the porch together, and I'd say, "In a minute," and then get distracted by something else, a game on TV, a project in the garage, something that seemed more urgent than just sitting. The way she stopped suggesting things after a while. The way our conversations became purely transactional. Did you pay the electric bill? What time is Jennifer's recital? Can you pick up milk on your way home? We talked constantly, but said nothing. The way our physical intimacy dwindled over the years. Once a week became once a month, became once every few months. I told myself it was normal, that married couples in their 40s and 50s weren't supposed to be passionate anymore, that we were past that phase. The way she started spending more time in her craft room, the spare bedroom where she'd set up a sewing machine and fabric supplies. She'd always liked sewing, making quilts and pillows, but it became something more, a retreat, a place she'd disappear into for hours. I thought she was happy. or if not happy, then content. We had a good life, didn't we? Stable jobs, healthy kids, a nice house, enough money to be comfortable. We didn't fight much. We worked well together. Isn't that what marriage is supposed to be? The kids grew up and moved out. Jennifer went to college in Pennsylvania, met someone, got married, and stayed up there. Michael moved to North Carolina for work, and suddenly it was just Patricia and me in this house that felt too big, with nothing to organize or coordinate except our two lives. That's when the silence became deafening. We'd sit at dinner and have nothing to say to each other. We'd spend evenings in the same room, me watching TV, her reading or working on a quilt, and barely exchange a word. We'd go to bed at different times, sleep on opposite sides of the mattress without touching. We were roommates, not spouses, and I still didn't fully see it. What I saw was that Patricia seemed unhappy. She was quieter than usual, spending even more time in her craft room. She'd go for long walks by herself. She'd visit her sister in Maryland and stay for several days. I'd ask if something was wrong, and she'd say she was fine. I believed her because it was easier than digging deeper.
Then, 3 years ago, on a Tuesday evening in September, Patricia came home from work and asked if we could talk. She sat down at the kitchen table with this look on her face. Not angry, not sad exactly, just tired in a way that seemed to come from somewhere deep inside. "I can't do this anymore," she said. "Do what?" I asked, genuinely confused. This way. My first reaction was panic. Was she having an affair? Did she want a divorce? Was she sick? "I'm not leaving you," she said, reading the fear on my face. "But I can't keep living like we're business partners instead of married people. I can't keep being invisible to you." "You're not invisible," I said, defensive. "We talk every day." "We don't talk, Tom. We coordinate, we manage, we execute tasks, but we don't actually talk. When's the last time you asked me how I'm really doing? When's the last time we had a conversation about something other than bills or schedules or what's wrong with the dishwasher?" I didn't have an answer. "When's the last time you touched me?" she continued, her voice breaking slightly. "Not just during sex, but really touched me, held my hand, put your arm around me, kissed me just because. When's the last time you looked at me like you actually saw me?" I sat there, stunned. I had no idea she felt this way. Or maybe I'd known on some level, but hadn't wanted to face it. "I've been lonely in this marriage for 20 years, she said quietly, "and I can't be lonely anymore. It's killing something in me." We talked for hours that night. Or rather, she talked and I listened, really listened, maybe for the first time in years. She told me about feeling like she was just a function in my life, the person who cooked and cleaned and managed the household, about how she'd tried to connect with me, suggest date nights or weekend trips, ask me about my day and actually want to hear beyond fine, and how I'd always been too busy or too tired or too distracted. She told me about the craft room, how it had become her sanctuary because it was the one place where she felt like herself, not just someone's wife or mother or employee. How she'd poured all her creativity and passion into quilts and pillows because she had nowhere else to put it. She told me she still loved me but didn't know if I loved her, the actual her, or just the role she played in my life. That conversation broke something open in me. For the first time, I saw our marriage from her perspective, and it was devastating. I'd thought I was being a good husband by providing and being reliable and handling my responsibilities, but I'd been so focused on doing that I'd forgotten about being present, being attentive, being a partner in the full sense of the word. I promised I'd change. I promised I'd be better, more present, more attentive, and I meant it. For a few weeks, I tried. I asked about her day and really listened. I suggested we go for walks together. I tried to hold her hand, but it felt forced, like I was performing good husband behaviors rather than genuinely connecting, and she could tell. "You're trying," she said one evening, not unkindly, "but it's like you're following a script. I don't want you to try to be present. I want you to want to be present, and I don't think you know how." She was right. I didn't know how. I'd spent so many years operating in task mode that I didn't know how to just be with another person without a purpose or agenda. That's when she suggested we try living separately for a while. Not divorce, not even formal separation, just living in different spaces to figure out who we were as individuals and what we actually wanted from marriage. The idea terrified me, but I also knew she was right. We needed something drastic to change because what we were doing wasn't working. Patricia moved into a small apartment about 15 minutes away. We agreed to have dinner together once a week and go to couples therapy. The kids were confused and worried, but we explained as best we could that we were trying to save our marriage, not end it, and that sometimes you have to take things apart to understand how they're supposed to fit together. The first few months were the hardest of my life. Coming home to an empty house every day forced me to confront things I'd been avoiding for decades. The silence wasn't filled with Patricia's presence anymore. It was just silence. And in that silence, I had to face myself. I realized I didn't actually know how to be alone with myself. I'd always filled every moment with tasks or TV or projects. Being still, being quiet, being reflective, these were not skills I had. I'd confused productivity with purpose, doing with being. In therapy, our counselor asked me to describe Patricia beyond her roles, not as my wife, not as the kids' mother, not as the person who managed the household, just Patricia as a person. What did she love? What made her laugh? What were her dreams? What scared her?
I couldn't answer. After 42 years of marriage, I couldn't describe my own wife as a human being. I knew what she did, but I didn't know who she was. That realization crushed me, but it also finally made me understand what Patricia had been trying to tell me. I'd been married to a role, not a person, and she'd been married to someone who saw her as a role, not a person. I started doing the work, real work, not performative good husband behaviors. I started going to individual therapy to understand why I'd built my life around tasks and productivity. My therapist helped me see that I'd learned this from my own father, a good man who provided well but was emotionally absent, who showed love through actions but never words or affection. I'd replicated that pattern without ever questioning it. I started learning to be still, to sit with discomfort, to feel emotions instead of immediately trying to fix or avoid them. I started keeping a journal, writing about things I'd never put into words before, fears, regrets, hopes, feelings. And I started actually paying attention to Patricia. At our weekly dinners, instead of asking, "How was your day?" as a formality, I'd ask specific questions. What was she working on in her craft room? What books was she reading? What did she think about things, current events, memories from our past, dreams for the future? I listened to understand, not to respond or fix or move on to the next topic. Slowly, over months and then years, something began to change. Not in our circumstances, we still lived separately, but in how we related to each other. I started to see Patricia, really see her, not as my wife who did certain things, but as a complex, creative, thoughtful person who had her own inner life that didn't revolve around me. I learned that she'd always wanted to travel, but never pushed for it because she knew I preferred staying home. I learned that she'd felt trapped by the expectations of being a good wife and mother in the same way I'd felt trapped by being a good provider. I learned that her craft room wasn't an escape from me specifically, but an escape into herself, the part of her that existed independently of all her roles. I learned that she was funny, really funny, when she felt safe enough to let her guard down. I learned that she had opinions about politics and books and art that she'd stopped sharing because I'd never seemed interested. I learned that she was scared of getting older, of becoming invisible, not just to me, but to the world.
I learned her. And somewhere in that learning, I fell in love with her again. Or maybe for the first time, really. Not with the idea of having a wife, but with Patricia specifically, this particular woman with her particular mind and heart and dreams. About a year into living separately, I told her this. We were having dinner at a restaurant near her apartment, and I just said it. I'm falling in love with you, the real you, and I'm sorry it took me 43 years to see you. She cried. Then she said something I didn't expect. I'm falling in love with you too, or maybe falling in love with the possibility of us, if we can figure out how to do this better. We didn't move back in together right away. That was another lesson I'd learned, not to rush, not to assume a certain outcome just because it's what's supposed to happen. We kept living separately, but started spending more time together. Real time, not task time. We took walks along the Delaware Bay. We went to museums and art shows. We had long conversations about everything and nothing. We held hands. We went on an actual vacation together for the first time in over a decade. Just a long weekend in Virginia, but it felt revolutionary. We weren't coordinating children or maintaining a house or fulfilling obligations. We were just two people spending time together because we wanted to. The physical intimacy came back too, but different, slower, more intentional. Not just sex, but actual physical affection, touching, holding, kissing, connecting as bodies, not just logistics partners. About 18 months after Patricia moved out, I talked about whether she should move back in, and that's when we realized something important. The physical separation had given us something we both needed: space to be individuals, to have parts of our lives that were our own, while also choosing to come together. So we made an unconventional decision. Patricia would keep her apartment, I'd stay in the house, but we'd spend several nights a week together, alternating between both places. We'd have our individual spaces and our shared life. We'd be married but not merged, partners by choice, not just by default or obligation. People don't always understand this arrangement. Our kids worry we're headed for divorce. Friends assume we're just in denial about our marriage ending. But 3 years in, this is working for us in ways traditional marriage never did. I spend Monday through Thursday at the house. Patricia comes over Tuesday and Thursday evenings, and she stays over those nights. Thursday through Saturday, she's at her apartment, and I come there Friday and Saturday nights. Sundays, we decide together. Sometimes we spend the day together, sometimes we each do our own thing. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's actually simpler than what we had before, because we're not trying to force ourselves into a model that doesn't fit who we are. We're creating our own model. Patricia has thrived in her apartment. She's turned the second bedroom into a full craft studio, teaches quilting classes at the community center, joined a book club, made friends who are hers, not ours. She has a life that's hers.
I've learned to enjoy my time alone in the house. I've taken up woodworking in the garage, something I always meant to do but never made time for. I read more. I've gotten involved in a volunteer group that does home repairs for elderly residents. I have a life that's mine. And then we come together, and it's because we want to, not because we're obligated to, or because we don't know how to be apart. We have things to share with each other, stories from our separate lives, projects we're excited about, thoughts we've been mulling over. We have space, and then we have closeness. We have independence, and we have intimacy. We're better grandparents now, too. Jennifer has 2 kids, and Michael just had his first. When we're with the grandkids together, we're present in ways we never were with our own children. We're not stressed about managing everything. We're not dividing tasks. We're just 2 people who love these little humans and enjoy being with them. Last month, Patricia and I celebrated our 45th wedding anniversary. We went to dinner at a nice restaurant, then back to her apartment where we sat on her little balcony drinking wine and watching the sun set. At some point, she said, "I'm really glad we didn't get divorced." "Me too," I said. But I'm also glad you don't live here." We both laughed, because it was true, and it was okay that it was true. I spent 42 years thinking I understood marriage. I thought it meant living in the same house, dividing responsibilities, maintaining a household, raising children. I thought it meant partnership in the practical sense, two people working together toward common goals. And all of that is part of marriage, sure, but it's not the heart of it. The heart of marriage, I've learned, is seeing the other person, really seeing them, not as a role or function, but as a full human being with their own interior life, their own needs, their own dreams that may or may not align with yours. It's about choosing each other, not just once at a wedding, but over and over again in small daily decisions. It's about creating space for both togetherness and separateness. It's about loving someone enough to let them be themselves, even when that self doesn't fit neatly into your expectations or needs. Patricia and I wasted a lot of years. That's the hard truth. We were married, but not really connected. We lived together, but were alone. We thought we were doing marriage right because we followed the formula: house, kids, stability, no major conflict. But we were both slowly dying inside that formula. It took almost losing everything to understand that the formula doesn't matter. What matters is whether you're actually showing up for each other, whether you're curious about who your partner is, not just what they do, whether you're willing to grow and change and let your relationship grow and change too, even if it looks different from what you expected. I'm 69 years old now. Patricia is 68. We don't have unlimited time left, but the time we do have, we're spending it actually seeing each other, actually loving each other, not just going through the motions. We're living in separate spaces, and we're more married than we've ever been. Because marriage isn't about proximity, it's about presence. And for the first time in 45 years, we're both finally present. Last week, I was at Patricia's apartment, and she was working on a new quilt pattern at her table. I was reading in the armchair nearby. Neither of us was saying anything, just existing in the same space, comfortable in the silence. At some point, she looked up and caught me watching her. "What?" she asked, smiling. "Just looking at you," I said. "Why?" "Because you're here, and I'm here, and I don't want to miss it." She came over and kissed me then. A real kiss, not perfunctory or obligatory. A kiss that said, "I see you, and you see me, and this matters." That's marriage, I've learned. Not the house, or the shared last name, or the legal documents, but that moment, that kiss, that mutual recognition of seeing and being seen. It took me most of my life to understand that, but I understand it now. And that understanding, late as it came, has given me something I didn't have in all those years of efficient, functional, task-oriented marriage. Peace. Not the peace of having it all figured out or doing everything right, but the peace of finally showing up. The peace of finally seeing the person I married and letting her see me. The peace of building something real instead of maintaining something hollow. The peace of finally understanding what love actually means. I'm 69 years old now. Patricia is 68. We don't have unlimited time left, but the time we do have, we're spending it actually seeing each other, actually loving each other, not just going through the motions. We're living in separate spaces, and we're more married than we've ever been. Because marriage isn't about proximity, it's about presence. And for the first time in 45 years, we're both finally present.
Old spruce wood, thumb on the bass, quiet patter, piano like a lantern in the dusk, breathing in the dust of the room. Ancient past, stone worn thin by names forgotten, boot prints, bare feet, every burden. I take my place among them. where wisdom meets the journey, not in books stacked to the ceiling, but in calloused hands and tired shoulders, sharing bread at the